about enhancing usability and compliance through an accessibility workflow. And it kind of has like three parts of it. The first part, we're going to talk about the law. The law is going to change next year in June, so let's talk about that. Then we're going to run into some tooling and screen readers to actually show some code. How can you improve your accessibility by using this kind of tools? And the last part is the most fun part. We're going to check how the current websites are doing in terms of accessibility, right? So let's get started. No? Okay. Why? It's not accessible. Okay. Now it works. Okay, so who has ever dealt with accessibility by adding an alt tag to an image? You can raise your hand if you have done that, right? But that's not what we're going to talk about. That's easy. So that's what you'll be surprised. This is like the second most common mistake to actually occur on the web. But let's talk about the second one. Who has ever used a screen reader to actually test your website? Oh, still some hands. Oh, pretty good. Nice. You're all professionals, right? Right? All right. So who am I? My name is Rodney Wormsbecher. I'm a software architect at Soprasteria, formerly Ordina. They just changed the name a few days ago. And I used to work on front end since 2016, and then start to touch back end and DevOps and cloud, and now I just do whatever challenges me. So if I talk to ChatGPT and I ask it like, can you give me like web accessibility users? Right? So yeah, I see like physical handicapped people. I don't really see a lot of like web accessibility error people. So I actually would have thought that one person would be like glaring at the screen because he couldn't see it. But no, unfortunately. Yeah, you have like blue chairs everywhere. It's cool. Sorry? Floating chair, yeah. It's ChatGPT, yeah? It's still beta. So, let's talk about the European Accessibility Act, which is actually like a key step to confirm that everybody can equally access the web. Because right now, if you have a problem with your vision, it might be really hard to actually get the stuff done with your government, or to buy something on Amazon or Bol.com. It might be really hard. There might be some people here for Bol, so I'm not blaming you. It's just like something that I found out. So, which industries will be affected with the EAA? We'll talk about that part first. And the main part is that the European government said like, we need to have a law in place for accessibility. So they had a really tough time. What can we do to make it accessible? But if they would have asked web developers, we would all say, no? What do we use for accessibility? What guidelines do we use? WCAG, right, exactly. So they decided in the end that companies have to adhere to WCAG level 2.2 level AA. It's strict, but it's not undoable. So I will share the slides with you. So on the bottom, I did give you the links to actually read the documents. So WCAG has 4 parts of it. The first part is the user's ability to recognize and use the services with the senses. So if they're using like the computer or mobile, can they actually understand the website? It's very important, right? The second part is whether they can use it with any kind of device or method of access. So I'm not sure how old you are, but if you were in, let's say, 2013, we kind of had like smartphones, right? And we were using the web to check, for example, like how do I have to use the public transport? And you're like zooming in, scrolling left, scrolling right, because things were not responsive. Well, it's very important that things are responsive now, and it's part of the WCAG. Next one is like you have to be able to clearly understand the content. If you have a text block that does not resize properly for mobile, then your text is outside of your screen. You can't use it. And the last part is to reliably get the content that you need, whatever you are accessing it. And this might be a bit hard, because if we're using a screen reader, that's easy. But now imagine a person who doesn't have any arms anymore. He lost 2 limbs. How is he going to browse the web? Well, these days they have like this kind of like bracelet. They can do like left, right, okay, this kind of thing. And if you're totally paralyzed, they have something called a puff system. So you're using your breath to control a website. I cannot imagine how hard it is to actually browse the web that way. And I wouldn't know how to develop it either. So let's look at it. In 2013, the European government asked a group of people to research the quality of the accessibility within the EU. The results were, they didn't say that blunt, but the results were it's terrible. It's undoable. So they had another import analysis in 2015. And in that they said like, okay, so if we are going to make laws, what would have to change? Who will be impacted? Who will have to do it? 2019, they accepted a new law in which they said, okay, this is what we are going to do. WCAG 2.2. Let's put it into a law. And government started to actually create accessible websites since that time. 2022, they actually had the law, and now all the European countries have to make the law, right? So they have to translate them. And next year, June 2025, we are actually going to get fines if we are not going to implement it correctly. So, a lot of stuff. If you want to read the reports, it's on the bottom. Later, if you download the slides, you can go there. So which industries will be affected? News and media, products and services, platforms of advertisements, professional services, entertainment, and telecommunications. That basically means, and I'll go to the next slide, it's a little bit easier for the eyes. If you look at it, news sites and platforms containing advertisements, I think about 80% of the websites contain advertisements right now. You'll be obligated to be accessible for the web. If you look at sales of products and services, does this actually work? Yeah, and the professional services, then you basically have everything from a plumber to like e-commerce. So I really can't think of any industry that will be left out of the accessibility part of this. But if you know one, please share it. So there's one exemption. If you are a small business. So what is a small business? That's if you have neither more than 2 million turnover or more than 10 employees. So if you have 9 employees and 1.9 million turnover, you are exempted. If you have 11 employees and 500,000 turnover, you have to do it. If you have 2 employees and 5 million turnover, you will have to do it. So yeah, it's really becoming a big thing. The European Commission in all 27 countries have like a body that enforces it. In the Netherlands, that will be AFM and ACM. And there will be some others, but I can't find the information yet. I think it's not determined. So, if you do not comply, what will happen? Will you go to jail? No? Put in a bench? Sure.
Will you give you a fine based on the revenue?
Well, that might be, yeah, a very good one. So they will do 2 things. The first one is you have to pay a fine. And the second part is you have to remediate the inaccessibility. Otherwise, everybody would just be paying fines, right? So for this part, that's like the legislative part of it. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll continue to the practical part. Sure, on the back.
Is like every error with accessibility will lead to a fine, or like, I don't know, if you have 100 buttons and 99 buttons are okay and one does not have an problem?
Interesting question. So the question, I'll just rephrase it for you. It's like if you have 100 buttons and 99 of them are correct, will that one button get you a fine? The answer is yes, it's not accessible. So
who will be executing, mandating this, like pursuing this?
Like who will like...
For the people who need to be fined.
Oh, yeah. That's AFM en ACM. So de Algemene Waakhond Financiële Markten en Consumentenmarkten. That's it. Oh, one more.
How is going to be the fiscalization? Who is going to check if the websites, this million of websites are affected?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good question. So users can report the website. Like, I'm trying to use this website, I can't do it because it's inaccessible. And if there are enough people complaining about it, eventually there will be somebody in a like legislative body saying like, hey, what's up here? Maybe you'll get a warning first, then a fine. But yeah, we don't really know exactly how it's going to work. But I guess it's something like that. All right, then we're going to do the fun stuff, which I think is a lot more fun. So, making web products accessible. In a moment, we will use 4 tools. Some of them I will really cover very well. Some of them I'll cover a bit less, because I already think a lot of people went to AI talks today. So I'll skip that part a little bit. So the first one is Arc Toolkit, and Arc Toolkit will scan your page and tell you like whether you have any accessibility errors. We'll look at it next in a moment, very extensively, so I'm not going to cover it here. The next one is the Chrome Vox screen reader, which, as the name says, works with Chromium. It's free to use. It's not the best one out there, but if tomorrow you want to test your website, you can use it and it works just in the browser. The third one is Jest, which is basically like accessibility tools for unit testing. And the last one is ChatGPT. Who doesn't know what ChatGPT is? Oh, okay. Who doesn't know what Jest is? Hey, that's people. Okay, so ChatGPT is really popular now. So if you look at this, on the right side, you can see that you have a run test button for a single web page, and here it will come with all the things that are like wrong, warnings, errors, etc. So it's an extension for your browser. I know it's available on Chrome and on Firefox. I'm not really certain whether it's available on Safari and Edge, but there's definitely other tooling that does a similar thing. The next one is the Chrome Vox screen reader. I will use it in a moment. You'll see me getting really frustrated with it. You'll see why as well, but it works. So that's the next one. Then we get Jest, which I will explain in a bit. And we have ChatGPT. So, the 10 rules of accessible websites. Yeah, accessible websites, I wanted to say, but it kind of messed up. Oh, I stopped there. So the first one is to use semantic HTML. And I have a question before going into this. Who has ever been on a web page where everything was a div? Div 1, div 2, div 3, div 4, hundreds. Okay. So with HTML5, we can improve that, right? So if you are building a modern page, you could use like a header, a main, an article, section, a footer, a figure, I don't know what else we have these days. A lot of things, right? If you can do that, it's a lot easier, or as well for the end user as for the developer, to understand what you're trying to do. The second part is to use the correct headings for elements and like paragraphs, spans, this kind of thing. Subtext, supertext, EM. So we'll look at a code example first. And if you look at this, there's some certain things that are, I wouldn't say wrong, I would just say it's not very correct, right? So who can spot any mistake? You can just raise your hand if you want to. Yes, on the back. Yeah, would be nicer, right? If you get more links, you have like a list with links inside of there. Agree?
It should be a nav.
It should be a what?
Navigator.
Nav, yeah, definitely. Yeah, good one. On the back.
The copyright at the bottom looks like a footer and not a div.
Yeah, agree.
Yes.
Sure.
And then the form in the main.
Form in the main. Yeah, like that. Yeah, agree. Yeah.
The area label is not required.
Yeah, definitely. It's not required. Good one. But I'm still missing the errors though.
There is no language attribute.
Yeah, very good. Yes, nice.
And the title attribute is.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no language, there's no title. It's just like a very old-fashioned HTML document which we used to create in, well, what, 1999 or something like that? So let's actually go into this. If you look here, it will say like the language is not defined on the HTML, the page title is empty. The rest are alerts, which you should fix, but it's not an error. So you are compliant if you have them. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit messy. I will change to the web browser. And I have this screen reader extension, which will talk to us all day long. And yeah, it's annoying me, but it does work.
So window files within a 11YSRC1 semantic.
Thank you. Okay. Good. So this is like the basic web part, the website that we had. And if I actually go to the home link.
Home link. Visited link.
Okay.
Cancel adding city. Button. Add a new city. Button.
So it does what it has to do.
Home link cancel.
No,
adding
no,
city.
no, no,
Add
no,
a
no,
new city.
no.
Copyright Rodney Wormsbecher 2024. Alert.
Okay, so
Test
that.
tools is docked to right. Alert.
Okay. So let's run the test,
Alert.
and you'll see.
Run test is running.
Okay, you'll see like the language error and
83%
the title,
results.
which are actually having a problem. So I will go out. I will go to the end result, and we'll first see the differences. So
Add city page. Skip to main content. Internal link.
okay, so the first thing that I've done, I've added the suggestion that it had for making a skip to main content. And usually I will put this way off the screen somewhere here, like left minus 2000 pixels. But because I wanted to show it to you, I actually left it here, right? So you can skip to the main content, which is a thing that is actually good to do.
Top navigation home link. Visited link list item list with one item's navigation header.
Now you heard like top navigation link, right? So I have an area label there saying top navigation. Now I know where I am. Before it only said home link. Am I on the left navigation? Top navigation? Am I at the bottom? I really don't know. Oh, he also doesn't know. Oh, good.
Cancel. Button.
So these parts are still the same. So I will get out of the browser for a moment. And if we go to the end, you can see that there's some styling in here, which is not really required. But you can see that inside of here, we have like the language, we have like the title. And on the bottom, we have like a nav, a header, a main, which makes it a lot better, right? I'll zoom in a little bit. Yeah, I just saw it. Good? Also on the back? All right, cool. So let's go back to where we were. Yeah, good. So this is... No. Let me do it without this one. This is where we were. Okay, so I won't use the page anymore for that. So you could also ask ChatGPT, and I've made my prompt on the bottom. I want to make this page more accessible. Could you please help me to fix the accessibility issues up to WCAG 2.2? And you could also say level AA. Like, sure, give me your code, I'll help you. And that's basically most of the code that I actually use for the end part of it, is what I copied and edited a little bit. So that's this one, which we just saw. The next one is to provide text equivalence. So if you go into images, you will have to use alt text, right? And we all know this, like, oh, sorry. This is like the most basic thing that we do. But also, if you use like a video or audio, there should be a way to pause it or extend the time. And very popular sites like vakantieveilingen, for example, or anything that is like an auction-based thing, you can't pause it. You have to act now, otherwise it's gone. It's not accessible, because people will have to think about it. It's gone, and I can't use it anymore, right? So this is like a problem that branch will get. I won't show the code sample for this, because adding a alt text to an image is pretty easy. So here we have it. We don't have the alt text, and if we actually do that, I made a figure with an image, alt text, and a thick caption, because I also had some text under it, right? Next one, we're going to talk about keyboard accessibility and focus. So who knows that if you're using like your keyboard and you want to go back by using tabs, how would you do it? Ah, nice, great. So if you focus something, what will happen on a website to make it like visually understandable? Outline, good. Yeah, outline or border, right? So first one, use your keyboard navigation to test your website. And the second one is make certain it's like either has outline, focus visible, or border property to actually have like some outline. If you do that, yeah, okay. If we do that and we go to number 3.
Files within
Now.
Files within A11. Add city page. Skip to main content.
This was start.
Internal link.
No. This.
Add city page.
So
Skip to main content. Alert.
what you'll see, it has like the red border around it.
10%.
I'm just getting really annoyed by it, but I can't stop it. It's cheap, right?
One item
So
navigation header.
on the top, if you have a link, you have a red border around it. If you go to a button, you have a border around it. So this indicates to people with like some vision problems that this is where you are. This is what you're going to click once you press enter, or whether you use your mouse when you click it. So that's a very important step. Next one. I'm afraid to use the page now to make it like full screen, because then it will go to the start. Great. Okay, so we had this part, and I just added this CSS here, and then added it to the elements that I wanted to do. Next one is area roles. So area roles, there are hundreds of them. I know like maybe 10, maybe 12. Well, if I'm really lucky, maybe 13. But the thing is, you can't know them all. If you use a screen reader and you have some kind of error, you think, oh, this could be better, you just have to look them up at Mozilla or something. So what we can do is like, I don't tell you you should do this, but you could make a div with a row, area row navigation, and it will act like a nav. You could use a div and say row is button, and it will act like a button. Is this good practice? No, because semantically it's incorrect. But you can do it. And if you look at things like Bootstrap, they use this very extensively. So what it actually does, it gives like some additional information for the user, especially when using screen readers, which will be read out loud. Let's look at an example. Yep. So the first part, I have nothing here with area labels, etc. If we go to the next part, you will see that there's some stuff added. Area label, top navigation, home link. And on the bottom, we have like area labeled form title. So if I go to my nice screen reader,
Cancel.
now,
Button. Files within A11 wide. Add city page. Skip to add city page. Skip to main content. Internal link.
hey, it's not why? It's not synced anymore with my laptop. Screen reader experience, yeah, but that's weird. Let me reconnect it. No, it will work. No. Okay. I know why. I didn't close this. Now it's in sync again. Okay, so if I press here,
Add city form area.
this is an area link. So if somebody is like using the mouse and navigating that way, they can give elements a name, which will be read out loud, which makes it a lot easier for users to understand where they are actually navigating within the website. Cool. Fifth one, color contrast. I don't know, somebody was telling me, I was at an accessibility talk today. I had a black screen with a blue text which I couldn't read. It's you, right? Oh no, yeah, all right. So this is like a major thing. If you look at the most common problems in accessibility, it's always text contrast. So what should we do? For normal texts, read 16 pixels, we should have at least 4.5 to 1 contrast ratio. If you have large text, which is 1.5 times as big, so 24 pixels, you will need to have a 3.1 ratio. Now, calculating the ratio is not easy. It's a hard thing. But what you can do, you can use ChatGPT for this. It's really awesome for it. Let's have a look. This is what it looks like. And I think on the back, you guys can read the middle one. Can you read this? Yeah? Okay. And this one? Okay, I have glasses, so I probably wouldn't see it. But if you, it's like an optical store thing. if you change it, and you go to ChatGPT, and you tell him, can you create a contrast 5.1 for, and then I should put a hashtag here, the color. Then say, okay, the color is this or that. And if you want to go darker, you can go that way. If you want to go lighter, you can go this way. Very easy. You don't have to calculate it anymore. There are also websites that can do it, but this is like a thing that ChatGPT can help you. So now we have had all the easy things. Let's talk about the harder things, right? So, if we continue. Making forms accessible. Forms, always fun. So, you should associate every element with a label tag. And what's the advantage if we do that? If we add a, sure.
You can link the label to the input field, so you can easier reach the input field.
Exactly, yeah, very good. So if you link it, you can click like the label. It will focus on the input field. The next one, you need to provide clear instructions and error messages. And this sounds very easy, but this is a thing that's pretty hard to do with a screen reader. So I will show you first, and after that I can disable my screen reader. Yeah. And we can have a talk. So, we go to forms.
Files within an Add City page.
Okay, cool.
Add a city. Heading 1.
Thank you. So, the first thing that I will do is like I'll try to click my city.
City.
It won't work because I use a placeholder, right? So, if I run my tests.
Alert. Run tests at 83% sorting results. Alert. 3 error. S. Placeholder used for label. Button collapsed heading 2.
All right, so I'll just talk louder, but it will also already tell us, like you didn't use a label, you use a placeholder. If we go here, it says like, these are the 3 errors. If I lose my focus.
Add a city. Please enter a city name image. Add city.
Okay, now I have some error messages here, right? If I use my tab navigation, I can't access them.
Alert.
I do have to focus here.
Add a city. Please enter. Please enter. One alert. Please enter an image URL.
Impossible.
Edit text.
So if we want to target these kind of labels, what can we do? Sorry? Tab index. That's a possible solution. Yes, very good. What else?
Link them with a label to the input.
That will work for the focus, but not for the error message.
Area described by?
That will work, but it's updating. It's not there on the screen natively, right? So then the order will get like weird. So there are 2 things that you can do for this, and I'll first show you how it works. Then I can disable my screen reader.
Add city page. Add a city. Heading 1.
Okay. So
X, you must at least use 2 characters for city name. Alert. City. X, you must enter an image URL. Image X, you must enter a description.
So the way how we can do this with indie code is to say in number 6. In the end, what we added is here. Now my screen is getting too small because it's zoomed in. Let's try. So you'll see it's like we have area live assertive, right? So that means if there's any error, immediately jump to there. You have assertive, you have off, and you have polite. If it's polite, it will first read the whole thing, and then it will go there. If you say assertive, it immediately goes there to tell you the error. The second part is that it's atomic. So this will actually say like this feature will appear. It's not there from the beginning. And by combining a lot of these area labels, you can make really good experiences. All right, so let's continue. But I'm first going to disable this screen reader.
Window add city page.
So extensions, screen,
Extensions.
manage extensions.
On details. On.
Hey, look, like
On.
great extension. Okay, so So let's continue. At least we can talk again without having interference. So making forms, you can make them accessible by using area labels. And you will need a screen reader to do it, because if you just do it semantically, you can get it like 100% coverage, no problem. But if you want to do it like a user can actually use it, you have to use a screen reader to find out what's wrong. Let's go through this. That's what we did live. The next one is responsive design. And I think everybody knows what responsive design is, right? No? Yes? Ah, good. Okay, cool. So make certain that everything in your mobile will actually render correctly. You can make things like stack under each other. We're not going through the code because we're running a bit with time problems. The next one is if you want to use screen readers, you can use like NVDA, JAWS, or VoiceOver. They work a lot better than the thing that I'm showing you here, because those are browser-based. They're not only for the web, right? The next thing is if you use like assertive text that's used for a screen reader, make certain it's not on the screen. It should be in the tab order, but you can put it somewhere there or somewhere there, no problem, but not in the viewport. Next one, if you want to use time-based media, you have to provide an ability to stop it, rewind, make it louder, subtitles, etc. And if you can't do that, you should avoid it because you can't get WCAG compliant. Number 10, continuous testing. So we have like these tools like X, Wave, Lighthouse, there's our websites, and we can collect like feedback from people with disabilities so that we have a feedback loop to see what do we have to update. Is it actually working what we're doing? Because I'm a developer, I'm not yet like having a handicap except my vision, right? So if I want to know how my website is doing, I will have to get users on board with certain disabilities. They will have to provide us for feedback. And the last one is Jest X. So Jest X, I told you before, is a X usability tools for a test runner called Jest. And I think it works for every major test runner, but this one is the one I use myself. So if you want to use this, you have to install the dev dependencies for Jest, JestX, and Jest environment JSDOM. And then you will have to get the typings if you use TypeScript, right? So how does it work? We have a unit test where we will actually say like to have no violations from JestX. And yes, you can also do that with an import statement. There's no need for require. So if you want to do that, you await X with the HTML element you want to do and to say, does it have any violations? If it does, it will come with images have to have an alternate text, for example. So this covers about 40% of all the common accessibility errors, but it's not perfect. If you want to use it, you can integrate it with your CI/CD pipeline, and that's easy because then you actually get like feedback immediately. All right, so what now? I'm going to ask a question. How many % of the websites within the European Union do you think are accessible? And I will give like thresholds. If you think 90% is accessible, raise your hand. 80? 70? 60? It's not like an auction, guys, come on. 50? 40? 30? Ah, we got people. 20? 10? Ah, you guys are all like, ah, good. 5? 2? Oh, okay, well, let's have a look. I will give you the answer in a second. We'll first look at some examples. The first one is bol.com. No hard feelings if anybody's working at Bol. But this is what I saw. They have like certain errors here, including like area is not allowed. So they use the area which is not allowed on the attribute. And they have like many things, no alt text, and they also have like missing link alt attributes. There's a lot. Do they do a bad job? No, I don't think so. I think they do better than most of the companies. They just have a very big system, right? Next one, more fun. Amazon, they have so much money, right? They can't even make the website compliant. Huh? What the heck? Why? Okay, continue. We go into the Belastingdienst. Belastingdienst is government, and the government in Holland, of the Netherlands, has already been doing like accessibility for a long time. So yes, they can make it almost compliant, but not totally. Right?
Can they be fined as well?
Yeah. This is something that I also wonder, like, how are they going to do it? Or do they just get like infinite warnings? More reports, yeah. So, this shows us like there's a very big like, it's very hard to make it really like 100% accessible. The next one is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They did pretty well, only one error, so pretty good. And then, which is ironic. So, yeah, I'm not going to comment this. Yeah, I heard you have one job. Yeah. So, if you look at it, in 2023, the world's top 1 million websites, they had a staggering 96.3%, which failed to meet the criteria, so they were inaccessible. 96.3. So everybody who had more about 3.7% of the websites were accessible, congratulations. It's terrible. So, but it went down from 2019, where it was like 97.8. So only 2.2% of the websites were accessible, right? So if we continue on this pace, it will take us approximately 240 years for every website to be accessible. Which basically means we invented a lot of tools like Babel to use modern JavaScript. We have to create tools which will enable us to do more with web accessibility. Either in IDEs or like some kind of converters that make it better or easier to work. Because our industry, we have like very little seniors compared to juniors. There are more juniors going in. They also don't know it. We seniors don't know it.
You need to see it from the bright side. It's
Okay.
50% more in 4 years.
Yeah, well, that's like the bright side. I like that one, yeah. But I'm pessimistic in this way. Right, so we have to find ways to make this better. Otherwise, we will always like be behind the facts.
I'm just curious, would there be a linting set that would be...
Yeah, you can set up certain things with your linter, right? So that catches like the low-hanging fruits. But they make it like semantically accessible. They don't make it like practically accessible, right? So let's continue, because I don't know, how long do I still have? 8 minutes, oh, okay. Now it's the fun part. It lost focus. Now is the fun part. So basically, the most common things for screen reader users is like people are affected by a certain level of blindness. Then we have low vision, cognitive or learning issues, motor issues, etc. Right? Then the most common mistakes for accessibility. The first one is low text contrast. Right? 90% almost of the research website had this problem. There were 1 million websites. The second one is missing alternative text or images. Huh? We all know we have to do this, right? Then we have like missing form input labels. Gee, okay. And we have empty links. We have missing document language. Empty buttons. What? Okay. So these are the common things. My last point is like, if we look at which sectors or which branches are doing pretty well, you can see that the government has focused pretty well on accessibility because they have a very big audience. And if we go to arts entertainment, it's pretty good, or pretty bad. Shopping is really bad. And this one is the one that I really think how are going to make accessible. That's the adult content. I don't know how they're going to do that, but... All right, so this is my presentation. And if you want to get in touch or want to have like the slides, you can download them with the QR code to make a picture and use them at home. Thank you for your time. And, any questions? We had a few in between, but sure.
So if you use Jest X, is it more practical to do it on a page level or component level?
Yeah, this is very hard to decide. I think I will do it on the component level for the low-hanging fruit, and then use tools like Arc to actually look at the whole page to see what's going wrong. Otherwise, it might be hard to do it.
Okay, actually you have to run X for every state change. So you would have to run X, you have to change the state, and then run X again. Because X only records the current state. of-
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but if you include it within your CI/CD pipeline, you don't have to do this manual step because it will build and then it will actually run Jest. Any other questions? Yeah.
How does low literacy factor in accessibility?
Low literacy, mainly on language, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like one of the areas, like these are not semantic errors. So you would have to get users into the office or like from a call, see how they can interact with your website, and then take some learnings from it. Like, hey, this language, like they don't understand it. Maybe we can find like a synonym, which is easier, right?
Yeah.
But this is really like user testing. You can't know this beforehand.
So aren't there guidelines for like B1 English or Dutch for like the levels of text or content you use? Like with the types of words, like difficulty of words, how long sentences are also guidelines in the WCAG for that, right?
Yeah, there are guidelines for it, but I haven't found automatic tools to actually assert this yet. If you know one, please share, because...
He can read your text for you and check them. But
yeah, that's what you could do, yeah. Yeah, but then you have like a lot of manual testing, which I personally dislike, and I'd rather have users coming in, see how it goes. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah?
A bit back, you used focus visible,
Mm-hmm.
specifically target the padding, but just focus.
Because in certain browsers, if you only use focus, there are certain states which are not picked up. So what I learned by experience is to use focus and focus visible, so that you have all the states, like that is always being used. And this depends a little bit on the browser that you're using. That's it. All right, thank you, and have a good day other than that.